Yeah. And then we can just let people know as they come in that we are already recording.
Correct. All right, let me admit. Lots of people to admit here.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hello. Slowly but surely letting everybody in. Hang on.
Morning.
Good morning.
Uh-oh, somebody's acting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I think it's you, Jackie. You have an echo. Don't know why.
Yes, I'm trying to close out one of these devices.
Thank you. All right. I'm trying to get my screen set up right here.
And Ruth, this is Jen Lusher. Full disclosure, I had to drop off a car for repair this morning and I'm racing back on foot. So I'm on my cell, but I'll switch to computer when I get
Oh,
in.
you're really moving. I can hear it.
Yeah, sorry. I'll put myself on mute so you don't have to hear me huff and puff.
All right. So let me just 2, 3. All right, guys, you just have to bear with me because I don't usually run this through my Zoom, and so the screen looks a little different. So just hope you'll be patient with me as I scroll around here.
Ruth, you have quorum.
I know, that's what I was checking. That's why I was going to. Okay, so it is 9:03, so I'm going to bring the Seed School of Los Angeles County special meeting of the Board of Directors, December 31st, 2020, calling the meeting to order. Just making everyone aware that we are being recorded. This meeting is being recorded. I'm going to do a quick roll call. If you can just quickly unmute yourself and say present, that would be helpful. I'm just going to scroll through this, how I can see it on the screen. Jackie Kimbrough.
Present.
Thank you. Jen Price Lesher.
Present.
Thank you. Rod Hamilton.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Isabella Costa.
Present.
And I have someone's phone number up here. Is this a board member?
That's my cell.
That's your
I'm trying to connect them.
Okay, I have both. Okay. Ruth Stalford, present. All right, we have a quorum. I just want to quickly thank everybody for showing up on such short notice and for looking through some of these documents, which were pretty dense, and I appreciate everybody taking the time. We're going to move right into our first order of business, which is discussing and going through this construction update. And I'm going to turn that over to Leslie and the rest of the team, especially Sean. And Sean, if you would just introduce yourself, and anyone else who, especially people who's their first time on this call with this group, if you could just introduce yourself and just let us know who you are, that would be helpful. The first document that we're gonna address is the infrastructure agreement. And if someone would just give us a quick overview of that, that would be helpful. And then we'll go to the next piece, and then we will move to the motions.
Great. Nelora or Anita, do you want to take just a quick high-level overview of the infrastructure agreement?
Yes, I will do that. So this agreement is an agreement between ourselves and the mixed-use development team that's developing the rest of the site to the north of us. And what it does is to define some protocols around the financing and development responsibility related to the utility work that's going on and the site, as well as the infrastructure B permit work that is a result of the street vacation that we are doing to enlarge the site. So it basically kind of says what our responsibility is, what the mixed use team's responsibility is, how the financing works. For example, you approved several months ago the float loan that we got from the county for $4 million, and we spent our money first, and they got a $2 million loan, and they're going to begin spending their money as soon as we execute this agreement. And so it defines those things. It also defines we're responsible for building phase 1 of the B permit work. They're responsible for building phase 2, which includes the alley, which we need to open the school. And so it defines in there the date, the critical date by which they must finish that alley. And if they don't finish it by then we can take over and build the alley. And so those are, and then it also talks about our agreement with regards to the parking structure, and to pay them right now, the price is $0.8 million based on 80 spaces. But the agreement also says that there will be further definition of the parking agreement and the common area maintenance agreement later on down the road. But these are the elements that we needed to keep going now. And I will stop and ask Mike or Brian if I've missed any key elements of the infrastructure agreement that you think we need to uplift.
I think that you've done a good job.
Great. And so Ruth, that is it. And so you have the motion. And so I guess we should open it up to any questions from the board.
Any questions from the board related to this?
Ruth, this is Isabel. I have a question on the budget and then a couple on the timing of the contract, if that's okay.
Great.
So the first on the budget, so I see this is for $66 million in addition to the permit and the landscaping. Can you confirm, because I don't have a copy of the board approved budget, that this was the amount that was included in that budget?
Isabel, that's on the second. This is the infrastructure agreement. You want to talk about the Bernard's contract. We're on the first one first.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So save that. Good question.
Okay.
So the infrastructure, so related to the infrastructure development agreement. Any other questions?
Maybe the only thing I would add is the reason why we had to do this quickly is that in order to keep the utility work going, we need Bridge to start paying, and they wouldn't pay until this was signed. So that was, for moving this so quickly.
And this is Brian. I'd like to add that this contract is not with CDLA itself, but with CDLA Facilities, the LLC, which is managed by CDLA. So we need CDLA's approval, or the board's approval, for CDLA as the manager of the LLC to execute the agreement.
Okay.
I think if no more questions,
Right.
Ruth, we may be ready for a motion.
Yep. All right. So I'll bring the motion to the floor. Sorry. Motion to approve the infrastructure agreement and authorize Leslie Poole to execute the agreement. May I have a second?
Rod seconds.
Thank you, Rod. All those in favor, you can unmute and say aye and say your name.
Aye, Rod.
Hi, Isabel.
Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer.
Thank you. Who was that?
Oh, hi, Sophia.
Thanks, Sophia.
Hi.
And Jackie, are you still here?
Yes, I said aye.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear it. Sorry. All right, well, that's unanimous aye, so there are no nays. The only person not present is Sarah Ali. So, the motion to approve the infrastructure agreement and to authorize Leslie Poole to execute the agreement is passed. Great.
Great.
Now we can move to the next one. Hang on a second. Bernard's agreement. So I'm going to open up. The next item is the Bernard's agreement, which is where Isabel had some questions, and Sean was incredibly helpful in preparing this overview, which I'm going to bring up on the screen. I hope. There we go, right? Here, I don't know why it's highlighted. All right, so Sean, do you want to give us a quick overview as to, things that we need to, and Isabel, this is also where you can ask your questions. So I don't know which one you want to do first.
You know what, can we?
Yeah, go ahead, Leslie.
Laura, can you answer Isabel's question first, and then Sean, you can, and I almost like to figure out like what we want to cover on that overview, Ruth, rather than, so Laura, if you can answer the question, and then Sean, just a super high level of, just sort of the nuts and bolts.
So the question was, was about when we approved the amount, Isabel? Is that your question?
No, I just wanted confirmation that that was the amount that was included in the board approved budget.
And one of them is likely to be there.
I don't think we approved a budget per se. We've presented updated budgets as we've gone along, and as we've been talking about the fundraising, we've talked about, at one point we were at 88 million, and then we went up to 90 some million, but I don't think we took an action to approve the overall budget of the project. But we should note that the budget that we were showing at the time for the contractor was about 63 million, and this budget is now at 66 million. They actually came in at 68 million when they bid the project back in October, based on the updated architectural drawing. So they were at 68. We've spent the last few months doing value engineering, and now we're down to 66 million for what we're calling the base bid of the project. And the base bid includes the school, and then the other elements is the part 2, phase 2 of the infrastructure agreement, which we just talked about, but that's not within this, it's an alternate. And then the garden, which is another alternate as well. Is that, you have other questions about? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, that answers my question.
As the budget went up, we also have been on the other line talking to the lenders about borrowing slightly more money, and I don't think we've gone to the board with that yet. That would certainly be at the next meeting by the time we have the lenders ready to commit.
Yes.
Maybe just add, Isabel, the board budget that you did approve was related to the operating expenses that had to be done before the charter and all of that. And any of the loans that we've been looking at or how we've done it, the whole structure has fit into the maximum amount of debt that we think the school could carry. So it does fit within the overall operating budget.
Okay, thank you. That's more what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to note that, and make sure, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but Rod, you were able to participate in a briefing about all of this. So you would be, you had an opportunity then also to digest this and also raise any questions. And I just wanted to get your feedback on that, your input.
Well, I've dealt with guaranteed maximum cost construction contracts. I think they're a good way to go. this seems to be a fairly standard version of that. The guaranteed maximum cost or guaranteed maximum price protects us as the owner from costs going above the amount that we agree to. And this agreement also has a liquidated damages clause that if the contractor doesn't deliver in time, there's a $5,000 a day penalty to which the contractor is subject. And then there is a savings sharing arrangement. If the cost comes in less than the GMP, we split that savings 70-30 to 70 to us, 30 to the contractor of those savings. I wouldn't hold my breath on having savings, but we can always hope. It gives the contractor a 30% incentive to try to bring in the costs. So you know, I think the summary that was prepared is a very complete document, and I think it looks good. One thing I wondered about is the contract says that the contractor will endeavor to procure the subs through competitive bidding. What are the situations where they wouldn't competitively bid? Because that competitive bidding is kind of a protection for us that we know we're getting the best price.
Sure. I'm happy to answer that, Rod. And I guess just by way of introduction, before I do, I should say I'm Sean Reagan, and for the last 20 years I've overseen construction for the Seed Foundation, starting with the second and third phases of work at the DC school, through the work in Baltimore and in Miami. To answer Rod's specific question, the original version of this contract had a whole lot more wording about the way that the contractor would have to bid the job. Because all that bidding has really now happened over the last 6 months, that wording is outdated because the bidding is largely complete. There is some residual language like Rod mentioned. The things that couldn't be single sourced could be things like for the elevators, we specified a specific model of Otis Generation 2 elevator. So even though there's multiple elevator installers that this project went out to, at the end of the day, it's only the folks that work with Otis, and it's going to be Otis. And there are some reasons to do it that way. There are also probably some very small things that that they're just going to go out in single source. And I'm thinking about the kind of signs that says danger overhead work, and just really little things that it doesn't make sense to competitively bid. But by and large, all the trades have been very much competitively bid. I think at one point, Bernard's told us they had a total of 1,000 subcontractors express interest in the job. And I think they got actual bids from something like 300 of them across the 20 or so, or 25 bid packages. So we're really happy with the competitive aspect of the bidding.
So I take it from what you're saying that they have priced all of the subcontracts, identified all the subcontractors, and once the contract is signed, they will buy out those subcontracts. They'll put those subcontractors under contract, right? Is that the process?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. So as I think Rod knows, a GMP contract, this form of contract, it's an interesting hybrid that's fairly modern, that instead of designing the whole project 100% and taking those drawings and sending it out to 3 or 4 or 10 general contractors for competitive bids and then just getting a lump sum price, the GMP has some advantages. One is the one that Rod mentioned, that if costs come in lower, there's still a very hard cap on the cost, the $66,170,000. If costs, but the GC tracks the costs, and if they come in lower and there's a savings, we share in that savings 70-30 to our favor. The other thing the GMP lets you do is really sign the contract before the documents are done and even before all the bidding is done. there's several aspects of the GMP standard form that are talking about how you are going to bid the job later. But in our situation, because we finished the documents and ran the whole bid before we're going to sign it, that stuff sort of becomes moot. It's a mechanism of the contract that it turns out we didn't really need.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Good work.
This is Jennifer. I have a quick
thank you.
question. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I know there was some discussion with local community-based organizations about ensuring local hire and all of that. I'm assuming that has all been resolved in those contracts, or it's taken care of?
Yeah.
Laura,
that really sort of.
can you let Laura, can you weigh in there?
Sure. There is specific language in the contract related to local hiring, referencing the county's agreement, and then there's also so there's that agreement. But we've also inserted in there a community business enterprise, which is voluntary, but it is in there, and that's the language that the county provided me sometime around November, I think, that we added to the contract, and that Bernard's accepted in whole part, except for one provision at the end that said that the contractor was a CBE, and because they're not a CBE, they just struck that. But there is language in there about CBE and local hire.
What's CBE?
Community business enterprise. They use that
okay.
now instead of DBE and MBWE.
I got you. Thank you.
Ruth, any other questions?
Any more questions?
Great.
Great. All right, so I'm going to bring a motion to the floor. Motion to the floor to authorize Leslie Poole to negotiate any further items related to the Bernard's construction agreement, and to authorize the execution of the agreement by Leslie Poole. I hope that makes sense. May I have a second?
I'll second it. It's Rod.
Thank you, Rod. All those in favor say aye, unmute yourself, and identify yourself, please.
Aye, says Rod.
Thank you.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Isabel.
Thank you.
Hi, Sophia.
Thank you.
Aye, Jennifer.
Thank you.
How about you, Ruth?
Oh, aye. Thank you. Thank you very much. The motion carries unanimously. The only person not present is Sarah Ali. So motion to authorize Leslie Poole to negotiate any further items related to the Bernard's construction agreement and to authorize the execution of the agreement by Leslie Poole is passed and carried. Nice work, everybody.
Great.
Okay.
One more.
Yep, go ahead, Leslie.
So, and Anita, I think I'm going to ask you to weigh in here, and I'm not going to get into the weeds on all of the CEQA, but I think, Anita, if you could just frame for the board, like, we anticipate that there may be some additional conditions that help our capital partners get comfortable, and those conditions might include additional reserves somewhere. And so we wanted to really just, so if you could explain that, because I think the question that we have for the board is that if what they're asking for is an additional reserves, there's some fundraising that we may need to do, and we would actually want to make sure that we provide the opportunity for the board to do that fundraising with us, because it will be in short order. Anita.
I think you said it well.
Yeah.
And I think the real thing is we don't know much more than some of what we informed you. We may know a little bit more. The only thing I can read to you, and I'll just tell you this is via text, but it's from Chase, and it says, "We are working towards a solution to get to a yes, but aren't there yet." And that just led me to think, and maybe it's some other conversations, that they may create some kind of ask for additional reserve, as Leslie said. We'll let you know and see, and if it's something that we could adapt to quickly and do, we will get to you, or we may need to contact you quickly. So if this is more just a heads up, partly we just don't know what they'll ask for.
And I think we also wanted to share with you really where we feel like we've exhausted lots of leads in the last 2 years, and particularly in the last 42, 43 weeks. But there are some other asks or other contacts that we actually have not been able to advance, and largely because we've been paying attention to other asks. But we want to put those individuals and organizations in front of the board, because I think that if we have to, in short order, create a reserve, we're going to need to be a little bit of all hands on deck.
So that, yep, that is what you were looking at right here. I have a very small screen, so I'll have to scroll through it a little bit.
Yeah. And I think we can send this out maybe. Right. So let me be really clear about the ask here. So we don't know that we need additional reserves, but we're trying to prepare for all scenarios. Should a scenario be, we'd like for you to have X amount of dollars sitting in reserves, this is the list we would go to. We want to put that list in front of you because we'll need additional help. And it could be, and I'm sorry, I'm not looking, great. We've actually tried to, everyone on this list, actually, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. I wanna take a couple folks off of there. But I think that we'll send a list. Everyone on here, we've tried to make some contact with, but we may need some additional help. And that's what I would say, Ruth. And we just don't want the board to be surprised if we send out a Hail Mary that says, we need to close this particular gap. Here's where who we're trying to contact. Can you help?
Great. So we'll Leslie's going to clean this list up a little bit, and then we'll share it with the board.
And I'm sorry, I was switching from phone to computer. Do we know, this is Jennifer speaking, do we know roughly what that reserve might look like, what that gap might be, or are we still, like, what's typical?
Yeah, I'm going to say, I do want to make it clear that XED has already offered its fee, back-end fee as a reserve. I think that was well received, let's say. So I just don't know. I honestly, I don't think they would do anything that they think is, going to be so at large that we can't make it happen. So I honestly don't know. I don't think it's going to be millions. It could be $500,000. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have a sense. And it may not be at all. It may be money. It may just be, it's quite likely it may not be.
But to put some numbers on it, what they're worried about is, litigation that results in a delay in construction. And our loan is the debt service on the loan is about $2.7 or $2.8 million a year. The $1.5 million that Anita has said XED can cover would be about 6 months. So the question they might be asking themselves is, what is the worst case amount of delay that we might face? We all say, we think the worst case is 0, but they haven't bought that position yet.
Yeah, and again, I think it's important to note that we are not reacting to something that they have asked. We are literally saying, let's play out the worst case scenario, and then let's be prepared for that. I think that's all we had, Ruth.
Yeah, I know. Any other questions related to that? Wow, you guys, you're quick. I just want to reiterate how much we all appreciate everyone sort of getting it together so quickly on such short notice and preparing all these materials. And I'm very happy that this is the last day of this year. And I'm glad that we're spending it together. I hope everybody stays healthy and well, and looking forward to 2021. Anybody else have any questions or anything they want to add?
Happy New Year and thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. Wow, our meeting is adjourned, 9:32 a.m.
All
I
right.
hope it's a happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
I really hope it's not a repeat of this
No.
year / last year.
Yeah.
No. To better times.
Yes, brighter days ahead. Slowly but surely.
Take care,
Neil-
everybody. Okay.
Nelora and Sean, can we jump on another call?
Sure.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Take
everybody.
care.
Are you going to send us the information, Leslie?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay.
All right. Happy
Thank
New
you,
Year.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Bye.
New Year.
Enjoy the
Bye-bye.
rest of your day / year.
Yeah.
You too.
Thanks. All right.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, Leslie. Thanks, Beck.
But I'll check in, and then Rebecca, I will respond to my. I don't. You know what I saw? Like Casey. I don't want Casey's name on a list. Sorry, that was my fault. I should have actually cleaned that up.